Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the webinar tonight. We are going to get started at 6 o'clock. We're allowing our participants to join us. And our topic for today is financial aid and scholarships, understanding the financial aid package. Welcome, welcome. We'll get started shortly. Good evening again, everybody. Welcome to the webinar hosted today with CalSoap. And we have UC San Diego joining us today for financial aid and scholarships. Our topic tonight is understanding the financial aid package, and we will be starting in just a few more minutes. Thank you so much for joining us. Good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to go ahead and have us get started. My name is Claudia Rodriguez. I am the Assistant Director of CalSoap San Diego. We are one of the outreach programs here in the county supporting your students and also families for those attending tonight, supporting you and your students to proceed onto their post-secondary high school plan. Today, our topic is on financial aid and scholarships. We know that this is a very, very important topic, a hot topic of interest, especially for graduating seniors this year. Financial aid and scholarships. Tonight, we are specifically focusing on understanding the financial aid package. We know your students have submitted college applications in the fall, maybe to CSUs, UCs, private universities. Students will very soon be getting admission offers, and along with that, also receiving financial aid award letters. And so today we have a very special guest joining us from UC San Diego's financial aid office. I have Ms. Yvonne Guerrero. I'm going to have her introduce herself for you tonight and also kick off her presentation for the day. You will have an opportunity to ask questions, and you do have the ability to place those questions in the chat. As we are able to, we will have our speaker address those questions. And you will also have opportunities to answer questions at the end of the presentation. All right, Ms. Yvonne, let's take it away.
Thank you. And again, welcome. My name is Yvonne Borrego, and I've been working in the financial aid office at UC San Diego for many years. The information I'll be sharing with you tonight is you'll be able to use it for whatever school you decide that you will be attending. However, we surely hope that we will be seeing some of you at UC San Diego, but just as a disclaimer, let you know that the information is pretty generic. So Again, welcome, and let's start. So let's go ahead and start right now. Okay, so our agenda, introduction to financial aid. We're going to talk a little bit about college costs. I'll talk about types of financial aid, the FAFSA and the DREAM application. We're going to do a recap on that. And then understanding the college financing plan, and then some additional tips to share with you. So just to recap, I know many of you have heard this, but seniors, this is when you're really going to put all that information that we've given you throughout the years. Now this is when it really counts. So I just want to do just a quick recap. If you heard this again, you know, when it comes to financial aid, and it's so important, you can never have too much information. So again, introduction to financial aid, it's access to help funds to help families pay for a 4-year private college, community college, private career college. But I think the most important thing that it does, students, is it gives you the chance and the ability to attend the school that's right for you. What is a good fit for you? Best academically, culturally, social fit? Because you're going to excel where you feel, you know, comfortable, where you fit in. We don't want you to just necessarily, you know, choose the least expensive program or to apply to the least expensive college, because we want you to take into account all these other things where, again, we want you to excel. And keep in mind what I always tell students and parents. I remind them that the higher the cost of attendance, the higher the financial aid. So comparing college tuition costs. And what I like to say is it all starts with the cost of attendance at the college. So every college has their own cost of attendance. UCs have their own cost of attendance, Cal States, privates, we all have our own cost of attendance. And within each cost of attendance, with each college, you want to know, what would it cost me just to attend classes there? Okay, so that's the first thing you'd like to focus in on once you've been admitted, is what is it going to cost me just to attend classes? At a community college, it's approximately $1,104 a year. Community college is a semester. Cal State, it would cost, again, to attend classes, $5,742. They're also a semester. University of California, again, it's a little higher, $13,104. That's just for you to attend classes. We're on a quarter system. So we have 3 quarters, fall, winter, and spring, and summer is an add-on. And then private colleges, they can start off, just to start, at $40,000 a year, and they go higher. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is, well, what would it cost me just to attend classes? Okay, and then what are other things that you'll need to have money, you either resources or aid to pay for these other costs? We talked about tuition and fees, room, and some colleges, it's mandatory that you live on campus the first year. At UC San Diego, it's highly recommended, but it's not mandatory. So that next cost is, what would it cost you to live on campus? That's going to vary, students, based on what is your room selection, what is your meal plan. So that could vary. Books and supplies, you're going to need money for books and supplies. And again, that could vary based on your coursework, what classes you're taking. That could vary. Personal expenses, that's going to vary depending on your own personal expenses. Transportation, will you be driving your car to the university, the college? You'll need, money to purchase parking permits. Will you be attending a college out of the city that you live in? You're going to need money to go home during the holidays or, during the summer. So that's also included in the cost of attendance. But what are the 2 categories that the school is going to charge? You to attend classes and room and board if you live on campus. If you live off campus, then you can still receive money to pay your off-campus living expenses. And of course, that would vary. But for those of you who will live on campus, that's what the school's going to charge you. And that's as well as, to attend classes. Those are what we call our fixed costs. So financial aid sources, where do we get the money from? Federal government, state government. Each university has their own pool of money. We have our own gift money, our own scholarship money, and private agencies, which I sure hope that you've have applied for those private scholarships. And if you haven't, there's plenty of time now, seniors, start applying for those private scholarships, because your goal is to get through by taking the least amount of loans as possible. And how you do that is by applying for scholarships in addition to the scholarships that the schools offer. Types of financial aid. So what are the types? Gift aid, and that's what you want to strive for. That's what you want to get as much gift money, free money, because it's money that you do not have to repay. Grants, scholarships. Pell Grant is a federal grant. Cal Grant, for those of you who will be attending a California college or university and you're a California resident, you all will be applying for that Cal Grant. And then again, each school has their own pool of money, gift money. Grant at UC, we call UC San Diego grant money. Okay, so UCSD scholarship money. So each school has their own, again, free pool of money. Each college has their own money. Loans. Loans is there. It's used as a resource. We want you, if you need to, many of our students do have to borrow, unfortunately, but we want you to borrow wisely. Any loan that you signed for, it has to be repaid. It's interest-free for some of those who will be receiving an interest-free loan. It could be interest-free during the time you're in school, but once you graduate or withdraw, then the government's going to start charging you interest on that loan. There's two types of loans. One, interest will start accruing after 6 months. And then there's another loan, which it starts accruing interest after 9 months. Work study. This is a great program. And this is another way to keep your loan indebtedness down. And it's money earned through part-time employment. Most positions are on campus. They're hourly wage. And there are some off campus, but usually they're on campus. And why is it considered, financial aid? It's because the department where the student will be working and getting paid is paying 50% of the student's wage. And then the college or the university is paying the other 50%. So that's the reason why it's considered financial aid, because it's less money that the department has to pay out. Study has shown that students who do work while attending college, and again, your academics that's your main focus, that's your priority. However, it's okay to work, maybe 10 hours a week. If you do work, we encourage you to work on campus through a work study program or on campus through a non-work study program. And that's because of the flexibility. With students who work, let's say in our office, we schedule their hours around their coursework, and we know we're on a quarter system, so we know every quarter their schedule is going to change. So we expect our students to take time off for midterms, to take time off for, their finals, and then again, when during holidays to go home. So that's the flexibility that the students have, which they don't have in the private sector. So keep that in mind, students. If you are offered work study, it's certainly a great opportunity. How to apply for financial aid. So just a quick recap, it's the FAFSA at studentaid.gov. If you're a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident, you, the student, will complete the FAFSA. If you're not a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident, but you're a California resident, your AB 540, you will complete the DREAM application. Now, it's that March 2nd is that deadline. So hopefully, seniors, you all have applied. And if not, you need to do that now. Because again, your goal is to get as much gift money, free money as possible. And how you do that is meeting deadlines. So at UCs and the Cal States, that March 2nd is the deadline to get all the priority funding that you're eligible for. And certainly for those of you who are a California resident, will be attending a California college, you definitely want that Cal Grant for a March 2nd deadline. And then again, you're going to be applied for financial aid every year. It's just not one time. It's every year you're in college, you'll be renewing your financial aid application, either the FAFSA or the DREAM. So then the college financing plan. So how this works is you complete your FAFSA, you list it. Do you remember when they asked you to list the schools that you would be applying to? We certainly hope you didn't wait till you've been admitted. Our UCs, for UCs, we don't admit our class till mid-March, which is after that March 2nd deadline. So you would have listed your schools, and for each school that you listed, then they would have, once you've been admitted, you will be sent a college financing plan. Okay, so you know, many of you listed 10, and then you might have added additional schools. So for every school that you listed on your FAFSA or your DREAM application, and you were admitted, then that school is going to send you a college financing plan. But that doesn't happen till after you've been admitted. Oops, what happened here? All righty. So, like if you've been accepted to UC San Diego, and could you get this email, congratulations, you've been admitted. If you listed UC San Diego on your FAFSA or your DREAM Act, then click here and we're going to show you a college financing plan. And again, these are all of the schools. This is just a UC, but they're all going to look pretty familiar. On this college financing plan, it's going to list what does it cost, tuition and fees. And remember, I said, go ahead and focus on that. What would it cost just to attend classes there? And what we do and what the schools do on college financing plans is they're going to give you two on-campus and an off-campus budget. So you can do some comparisons. And again, keep in mind that some colleges require that entering students to reside on campus that first year. So tuition and fees. Housing and meals, this is on campus. So this is just an estimate. Okay, this could vary. It could go higher, it could go lower based on, again, the room selection and the meal plan. Books and supplies, that certainly can change. Transportation, that could change. And then other educational costs, which is such as we say personal costs. So estimated cost of attendance for 1 year, $35,580. And that's to reside on campus. Now, when you complete the FAFSA or the DREAM application, the collected information to determine what is the ability for the parents to contribute. Not necessarily their cash on hand, but what is the ability? So that's what that family contribution is. And the formula for financial aid, cost of attendance, minus family contribution. And remember, FAFSA or the DREAM Act. So no matter what school you're going to be attending, your family contribution is going to be the same. What's going to change is the amount of your financial aid. Cost of attendance minus financial aid equals financial need equals financial aid. So in this example, that family contribution was $2,314. That's the ability that the parents have to contribute. So what the school does is we take that figure and then we determine how much financial aid is the student able to receive. How much money in gift money, how much money in loan money. And here's an example. We break it down. Was the student offered any merit-based scholarships from the university? In this example, they weren't. Students who are applying to UCs, your admissions application is used to determine if you're eligible for any scholarships from the universities, from any of the UCs. Now, I know not all of you apply to UC, so for those other schools that you applied to, did they have a separate scholarship application? Or was their admissions application also used as a scholarship application. So it's important that when you started researching, when you started applying, that you went onto their website to see, okay, what is needed to apply for financial aid in scholarships at that institution. At UCs, we just use your admissions application to determine if you're eligible for any need-based as well as merit-based scholarships. Okay, so that's, and then again, because anything there, that's gift money. And then you go to your right-hand side, the grants. So this student was offered a Pell Grant. They were offered institutional grant. It would say UC San Diego grant, but institutional grant. State grant. So this is a California resident who is eligible for that Cal Grant. And the Cal Grant is $13,104, which pays, in this example, their system-wide fees, which is primarily all of their fees to attend classes. So the total grants for this example is $24,966. So students, when you start receiving your financial aid estimates or your college financing plans from each school that you've been admitted to, you want to look to see, okay, how much gift money, scholarship money, grant money is that school going to offer me should I accept their invitation to attend? Okay, so then we take the cost of attendance, we minus out the scholarships, and in that case it was zero, but the grant money, and then we come up with the net cost. So this net cost, that means we're going to offer them loans and work study to meet their net cost. Some colleges and universities will offer you 100% gift money, 100% grant money. Very few of our students at UCs, because we're a public institution, do we offer 100% gift money. So what we do is we offer the student the loan. And this is it's $3,500. This is the maximum for a direct interest-free loan during the time the student is in school for first year. An unsubsidized loan is an interest accruing loan. And then an institutional loan, $700, which is an interest-free loan. And also what we offer the students in their packet is a Parent Plus loan. So this is, for this example, this family had the parent contribution of $2,314. So an option, if that parent doesn't have that cash on hand, then they can apply for a Parent Plus loan. And this loan is an interest accruing loan, and it is in the parent's name. Total loan options come out to $8,514. And we also offered the student work study for $2,100. Hours per week vary. You know, I mean, and this basically work study is like a regular job. We offer all of our students work study. And I know on the FAFSA or the DREAM Act, they'll ask a question, do you want to be considered for work study? If a student said no, it doesn't mean they're necessarily going to get offered more grant money. They could be offered more loan money, but at UC, we automatically offer our students work study. And it's there, the student, we set this money aside, the student has all year to earn it. It's like a regular job. There's a career services site where they'll list work study positions available. The student applies, they interview, they get hired, they work, they get a paycheck. This college financing plan was based on, in this case, the FAFSA information. This student was a dependent. They were living on campus and they're a California resident. Now, remember, things could change. This is just an estimate. This is to help you make an informed decision of where you're going to attend, because some students, based on the amount of their gift money, is where they're going to attend. Other students, for example, UC was their number one choice school, has always been their dream school, and they're going to make it work. But in most cases, students and parents, they're going to, they're going to lay out all of those college financing plans to determine, what school is going to offer them the most in gift money. Now, other options is you can go on what's called a tuition payment plan at UC San Diego. Let's say a student is offered very little financial aid, based on that family contribution. So there's a payment plan that they can enroll in. Parents can borrow the total cost of attendance. So for example, if this student, let's say their family our budget was what, let's say 35,000, and that family contribution was 37,000. There is no financial need. A parent can apply for a loan because it's an interest accruing loan up to the total cost of attendance. There's also some non-federal private educational loans, which a parent can apply for. They can co-sign for the student, because remember, there's limits that a student can borrow on a direct, either subsidized or unsubsidized loan, where a parent, the limit is the cost of attendance minus any other financial aid that the student would be receiving. There's also, many of our students receive a CalVIT, and that's a waiver that pays their system-wide fees, military or national service benefits. So there's other types of resources in addition to what the school has to offer. So what you want to do is you want to review your options from each school. Check for the true cost, which means focus on what would it cost you to attend classes and housing. Calculate your financial aid options. Determine if you'll need to borrow loans. Decide the best college fit based on your options. And then check with your financial aid office if you have any questions for the school that you will be attending. Because once you made your decision on where you're going to attend, you're going to say yes. At UC San Diego, it's called an intent to register or accept your offer of admissions. You check yes. And then in the summer is when we're going to give you your official award letter. Now, your official award letter should look pretty identical or close to the financial aid estimate that we offered you. Okay. Now, one of the things, we talked about private institutions. And again, the cost of, they're not bound by any federal or state regulations. So they can, offer a student a lot more in scholarship money or gift money than a public, such as a UC or a Cal State school. But what you want to do, again, is look at that cost of attendance. What would it cost you just to attend classes? Because let's say, for example, it's they offer you $60,000 in a scholarship or a grant, but to attend classes there, it's $50,000. So you're really only going to get $10,000 to pay all those other costs. So this is why you say check, compare apples to oranges. Find out what is, yes, you could get a great scholarship. You could like 60,000 and UC maybe only offered you 5,000. But yeah, we offered you additional grant money. And then to attend our institution's only 15,000 versus a private school that's 50,000. So this is where we want you to, look at, compare, and also what's really important, students, for those of you who will be attending a private school, when they offer you the scholarship, make sure you check, you ask that financial aid office, is this, what's, the scholarship, is it guaranteed for 4 years? Is it just guaranteed for 1 year? What is the GPA requirements that have to be met to get the scholarship renewed? Some colleges, when they offer, and again, private, I'm mostly referring to private colleges, they offer you a great scholarship for that first year, but then what are stipulations to get it renewed? So that's just check, because again, it is a lot more costlier to attend, a private school. Now, some private schools, again, they could offer you a full ride, for 4 years, but you just want to make sure before you check, yes, I'm going to attend. I just, because unfortunately, I have, stories of students who, thought they were going to attend, a private school and wanted to. And then when they figured out, how much they were going to have to pay, maybe their third and their fourth year, they, it was better for them to attend maybe, a public school here in California. We got some great schools. Okay. And also students just a reminder, I'm sorry, out-of-state schools, out-of-state public schools. Now, a student from out of state who's coming to our university and they're out of state, they're not eligible for any institutional grant. They're not eligible for any state grant. So primarily, they're going to have to pay that out-of-state tuition, which is, like a little over $30,000 on top of the California resident fees in loans. So if you do, or you are going to attend an out-of-state public school, find out what that cost is to pay that out-of-state tuition. And unfortunately, in order to receive that Cal grant, you have to be attending a California college or university. Now you can follow us at UC San Diego. This is our social media. We're really up to date with that. So this concludes my presentation. I'm going to open it up for questions if we have any. And I realize that I've given you a lot of information. This is going to be recorded, so you can always go back. I'm sure they'll have it, let you know what site it is. But right now, let's go ahead and open it up for some questions if there's any.
And Yvonne, I think there was one related to the California, the Cal grants, and you answered most of this already. The question was, are Cal grants only available if you go to school in California, or are these available for California residents going out of state?
Yeah, so if you go out of state, you cannot take that Cal grant with you, unfortunately. You have to, you have to be a California resident, and you have to be attending a California college. It can be a private college here in California, but it has to be a college or university here in California.
Okay, great. And yes, for our participants joining us today, feel free to go ahead and use the chat box for any of your questions. You have an expert here, so Yvonne has a wealth of knowledge when it comes to financial aid. All right, here is another question. The next one is the Pell Grant only good for 1 year?
No, a Pell Grant, again, is based on a family's ability to pay. And actually, a student can get a Pell Grant for 6 years. So some students will decide they're going to navigate the community college. We have great community colleges here in locally. And some students, decide, what's best for them to maybe go to a community college for 2 years and then transfer. At UC San Diego, we have an awesome transfer program for those of you, or let's say you really wanted to go to UC San Diego, but you didn't quite make that cut. No problem. Attend a community college. Great transfer program, and you can get financial aid at a community college. It's very limited because the cost of attendance at a community college is a lot lower than it is at a traditional, 4-year school. But you can have a Pell Grant up to 6 years. So you can receive a Pell Grant if you're eligible at your community college, and then transfer it over to when you attend, the traditional 4-year college or university. So no, Pell Grant, again, it's a federal grant, and you can receive that at a state school because that's federal. So you can take your Pell Grant with you. And again, that's based on a family's ability to pay, but it is good for up to 6 years for those of you who might be attending college for 6 years. And primarily that sometimes it's our transfer students. Because most students will go to community college for 2 years, but life happens, and sometimes they have to go, 3 years at a community college before they transfer. But a Pell Grant is a federal grant, and that is could be up to 6 years. Your Cal Grant is 4 years, majority. There are some, like our engineering majors, that require 5 years. So they're called mandatory 5th-year programs. But in general, that Cal Grant is good for 4 years.
And then can I add maybe also a follow-up question to that?
Sure.
Will the Pell Grant only be for a bachelor's degree, or can students use that for higher degrees?
Yeah. Unfortunately, the Pell Grant is only as an undergraduate. For graduate students, for public, like here, at UC San Diego or Cal State, The only aid that a graduate student is eligible is if they're not being funded by their graduate department, are just non-need based loans, which is the unsubsidized loan and the graduate plus loan, unfortunately for our graduate students. So there's limited aid for graduate students. However, many of our graduate departments will fund the student and, a TA or a research. They get stipends and they'll get fellowships from your graduate department. But unfortunately, no. And the only Cal Grant is for some students who will be entering in the teaching credential program. So there's a possibility that those graduate students could receive a Cal Grant.
All right, we do have a few more questions. The next question is about the web grant for students portal. Would you be able to explain how that web grant for students portal works?
So the web grants, what it is you want to definitely go on there, and your high school reports your GPA. So the web grants is the California Student Aid Commission's website. And it's good for you to go on there because they will let you know if you've been awarded the Cal Grant, if you're eligible, because it is, that is a need component has to be met as well as a GPA component for the Cal Grant. You have to be a California resident. Now at UCs, if you got admitted to UCs, then you definitely make that GPA requirement. Now there's a Cal Grant B, which is for economically disadvantaged families, where that GPA is only a 2.0. So, most of our students receive a Cal Grant A, and there is a GPA requirement. Your high school verifies your GPA, and most of all of your high schools here in California, public as well as private, they automatically would report the GPA to the California Student Aid Commission. But it's important that you go on that portal for those of you who are a California resident and going to be attending California College. And that way, in case there's something that's missing, sometimes they'll ask for some additional information. But they select the students. And what the college does is that, like what you see, for example, UC San Diego, they will select, say, the student meets the requirements to be eligible for the Cal Grant. So what we do is we will pay that Cal Grant. They select them, we pay them, and then they reimburse us later. But that's what that portal is. So you can go on there, and check it, make sure that your GPA was submitted by your high school. And again, 99% of the time, there is no problem. But if, sometimes occasionally, and sometimes for your charter schools, your small charter schools, they don't have the ability, at least it was in the past, to submit that GPA, and there's a form that has to be completed and mailed. That needs to be done. So again, if that's a great for students who are going to be eligible or applying for the Cal Grant, and you applied by completing your FAFSA or your DREAM Act prior to March 2nd, you are automatically applied. And then the second part of the equation is your high school has to verify your GPA.
And for the most part, something that we can also add is that school districts, registrars at the school districts have all supported with that process. So for the most part, very likely all your school districts took care of the GPA uploads at the beginning of the academic year. So it's great to have their support. So there's another question, which is, I guess, a little bit of a follow-up. I think you already covered, for the most part, what this web grant for portal does for students. But the follow-up question or related question is, can you see financial aid awards for California universities in this portal?
You'll only see if you were selected for the Cal Grant. That's the only thing that, at least in the past, that you were in the beginning, because technically, these are just estimates right now. And colleges don't give official award letters until they've been admitted.
Okay, perfect. So that sounds good. And for our participants, we encourage you to continue adding some of your questions that you might have. We know that it can be very confusing to understand a letter when you receive it. I know Ms. Yvonne was sharing, it's important to compare the different offers. Sometimes your students might be leaning towards, maybe their first choice wasn't the ideal package for them. It could be that sometimes it's choice number 2 or choice number 3. So it's very helpful to compare all your offers. And let's
Now,
see.
since I have, let me just add,
Yeah, of course.
you know, when you complete your FAFSA or your DREAM Act, remember it was what parents you would have submitted income and asset information from tax returns of 2021. If things happen, you know, if things happen, like I say, you know, unfortunately, life does happen, where let's say maybe a parent lost their job or a parent changed jobs and is not earning what they did when they filed taxes in 21, or parents get divorced or parents get separated. So if there are cases where the family situation has changed, either financially or again, maybe, you know, possibly, you know, a divorce, separation, another, you know, maybe the family grew, there's what we have, what's called appeals. So we would collect information from the student. And again, it would be the school that the student will be attending, the financial aid office. It all begins with an email. So you send, let's say you got admitted to UC San Diego and you received your college financing plan. And, you know, it could be, you know, like you say, well, that family contribution is high. And especially because, you know, my father or my mother, you know, lost their job or they're no longer, you know, they're divorced or separated. Those are the two most common appeals that we do. It starts with the letter, and then we'll instruct the student how to do an appeal. So that way we don't look at what happened when they filed taxes in 2021. We're going to ask what's currently happening now. So the financial aid office has the ability to change that family contribution based on what's happening now. And there's, you know, there's different appeals that the student can, and the parents and student can apply for. So that's why we say it just begins with the letter. And let's say you have two choices. There's two schools that you want to, you'd like to attend and you haven't made up your mind. You want to contact both schools if situations has changed. And because the school that you will be attending is the one that goes in and updates your FAFSA or your DREAM Act with the new information that we collected. And keep in mind, students, that even after you've been admitted and you accepted your awards, if something happens during the academic year, something happens, such as parents get a divorce, parents lose their job, we can always change your financial aid. We have the ability, based on appeals, to change that family contribution. And if we change that family contribution, then we're going to change the financial need, which means that we will offer you more aid. Because remember, cost of attendance minus family contribution equals financial need equals financial aid. So just to let you know that if situations occur, you know, after, either before you started the academic year, but after you submitted your FAFSA or your DREAM Act, the financial aid office has the ability to take a look at what's happening now and change that family contribution.
All right, we do have one more question. Let's see. It is, how long after getting the admission letter can you expect the financial aid award?
You should, at that time that you were offered admissions and you listed, like, let's say, for example, UC San Diego or any school on your FAFSA or DREAM Act, it's immediate. If you did not, let's say you were admitted into UC San Diego and you don't see a financial aid estimate, then something happened. And what's a common mistake is you want to make sure, did you list the school on the FAFSA or the DREAM Act? For UC San Diego, I can tell you what's a big problem that happens every year. The student thought they listed University of California, San Diego, but University of San Diego was listed. So that FAFSA information or DREAM information went to USD versus UC San Diego. That's a common mistake. Another common mistake is that name, Social Security has to match. birthday has to match. So the name that you provided on your admissions application, your birth date, your social security number has to match what you provided on your FAFSA or your DREAM application. If it's not, then we're unable to give you a financial aid estimate because there's no way to match that information. So to answer your question, it's immediate. And if it's not, if you listed the school and you were admitted and didn't get a financial aid estimate, at least for the UCs and the Cal States. Now, again, I'm not 100% certain for our private schools outside of California. Most of them, it's at the same time, but sometimes they're a little different because if you recall, some of you might have completed that college profile, the CSS profile, and they were collecting additional information. So you could very well have two family contributions, private schools, not UCs or Cal States. We don't ask for that CSS profile, but that could be a delay if you didn't actually get a college financing plan and you listed that school on your FAFSA or your DREAM Act. So if that happened, then you immediately contact that financial aid office to find out, and get that resolved.
Yeah, and to add a little bit onto that, most of your students, if not all, should be receiving admission offers by April 1st, because students do have until May 1st to make a decision. Therefore, your student will have, at least a month to be able to compare and contrast their offers. Like Ms. Yvonne mentioned, if your student, very important also that they are monitoring their email communication. A lot of it is happening over email. Some students, are very, very savvy with email communications, but some students also need some additional practice. So as parents, we highly, highly could use your support to have your student, make it a regular practice just to check their email once a day. It's incredibly important to create their portals. Most of them, CSU UC applications were done in November. So in December, students were able to start creating portals. And so those portals are a great way for your student to receive updates, where notifications will be coming through. So you could help us very, very much by helping your student keep a lookout and monitor their email on a regular basis. And let's see, I don't see any additional questions, but we can be here for a few more minutes. But if you, but we are for the most part done with the majority of today's webinars. Feel free to stick around. We'll be here for another 2-3 more minutes. Really want to thank Ms. Yvonne Borrero for joining us today. And as you can see, she has made contact information available. We also want to remind our participants that we do have a few other webinars that are going to be coming up soon. So you are more than welcome to participate and register for that. If you have a senior or family friend in the 12th grade who still needs to complete a financial aid application, CalSOAP is continuing to offer Cash for College events. We have one on the 25th at Sweetwater, and you can find that information on our website. I will go ahead and put our website on there for you all so that you can see where we are, and that's going to be in Sweetwater on the 25th. We have our website on the chat for you all. And then also we have college readiness coaches at multiple schools in San Diego County. We are in San Diego Unified, Grossmont, and Sweetwater. And so if your school has a college readiness coach, please reach out to us so that we can get those applications completed by the priority deadline. We're going to be adding more work over to Ms. Yvonne and her team over at UC San Diego, but I know that they're very excited to support your students as they transition, whether it's UC San Diego or other CSUs and UCs in the area. But thank you so much for joining us, everybody, and we hope you have a great night. And for any additional questions, feel free to stick around. We'll be here for about 2 more minutes. Thank you
all.
Okay, I'm gonna